And he's also like military, and they get benefits. You get benefits for being married. So I think that she didn't want to seem like a codependent that wanted to keep him in a marriage that they've been separated in for years. When the truth is that she still wants control over him. She doesn't want to see him go off into a happy life. And she wants those perks because she's a sociopath and doesn't have empathy, doesn't want what's best for him, doesn't want him to vibrate higher. And, fuels his addictions and stuff like that and leads him the wrong way on purpose. Otherwise, because normal people would celebrate me. Normal people would be like, oh my God, you found yourself like such a catch, for real. You're like, within 6 months he was making 6 figures of dating me. Like, what? We had just started a business, y'all, and it sold out. And then that's when he left. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't even get a chance. We would have, who knows? We would probably had hundreds of thousands of dollars by now. But instead, you wanted quick, easy money, let's just say, and signed a contract to never associate with me, and maybe even filled out an unjustifiable protection order because you were so terrified at the time, purposely dysregulated you to probably not even being able to think straight because you left in a panic. And if I touched on the informant thing, that's another, like, what the fuck? How do you know that? Like, it was so many things, and I'm just like, dude, so if I show up there just to make sure you're alive and okay, when I'm already getting these people saying, stop harassing us, Elle, knowing that they're pretending to be me, and, like, for all I know, they are getting harassed, but it's not by me. It's somebody pretending to be me. Like, for all I know, he left because he saw conversations that they photoshopped as me, saying I fucked some other guy. I don't know. Like, who would leave that way and never talk to me again, and switch like that, like, and be so afraid that I was trying to, like, I don't know. That's what makes me scared, that they're conning him, because I would never do those things, but he was afraid, as though he should be afraid of me, which tells me, everything she was projecting onto me about feigning illness, that's all stuff she probably does. So does that also mean that fear that he was having towards me was actually the fear he should be having towards them, that they were projecting on me? So this whole time, since September 24th, I've been worried about him every day, even though he fucked me up. Yeah. And didn't even come to me. Didn't even have a conversation as to why, like, he just goes, like, he just, yeah. This is all visions I had. This is all sacred, arcane knowledge. These are all visions. I have no way else of having known the shit I know. Yet, the energy doesn't lie, and I saw the way that they reacted, and it fits exactly the visions that I was getting. And it's what makes the most sense. Because why else would a man act like that? Either they're in trouble with the law, they are an informant, and I touched on something that nobody was supposed to know. They were swapping things around and getting him to trust the very people that were doing all the things they were accusing me of in advance, because they were going to frame me if they get caught, when they're the ones that were doing it and would have thrown him under the... This is my theory. And would have thrown him under the bus so it's like they have multiple options, but at the end of the day, I was the scapegoat. And I was supposed to show up and come off like a chaser. And that was the first thing that fell through. Yeah, so glad. So glad I'm smart, y'all. That's why it's good to tell your kids, because, like, your kid in a frenzy, let's just say they're, 19, 20 years old, and somebody acts like this, they're going to go chasing them, and all of a sudden it's like you get a call from the jailhouse that, like, your kid violated a protection order, but your kid's crying to you saying, I don't know why they did this. I didn't chase. I just was trying to figure out what happened, because you were just framed, love. You don't understand what is. You fell into a trap with your empathy like a normal human being. And they abused their power. and manipulated you into having the exact reaction that they needed to support their premeditated trap, which would help them get away with whatever they're plotting to get away with. And you're innocent, and it's going to traumatize you. And you're going to be worrying about your person because, yeah, they aren't safe with your person either. Your person trusts them for some reason because they are the ones that traumatized them in the first place. So it's a sick relationship, you know. It's like a false sense of heroism, but it's actually control. She would like act as though she would project all this onto me and then act like, listen, you can't stay with her. It's too toxic. Like, normal people don't react like that. Like, coming from somebody who doesn't even have empathy and is purposely trying to get me to have PTSD that I literally cannot control because after 3 hours of staying stoic and trying to brace myself, it would be abnormal for me not to like start to hyperventilate. You know what I mean? Like, for real, you know. But that's the thing. Nobody can control, like, keep their composure without that information, especially with an actual diagnosis. Okay, so look, somebody's trapped. That's very concerning. And they're confused. Oh boy. Oh no. That's what I mean. This is how I felt when I was, and then there's the 10 of Swords. This is the 2 of Swords. This is like being frozen. Look, injustice. So this is what I'm saying. I really do feel like this might be in real time or like it's predicting a very near future or currently. And that's what I was afraid of. And that's the cards that are coming out. That's like sick. This is like not being, like being stuck, trapped, blindfolded, not grounded, unable to make a decision, mental fog, confused. Then comes injustice, and here's Dirtbag Daddy, the dictator, and the thief. And what was I just talking about, you guys? How crazy is that? Like, do you even see how, like, oh my God. So while they have him in a passionate energy because they've conditioned him to be like basically like trash himself with a sex addiction, which it takes a very strong, very wise person that understands human psychology to not personalize that and actually be more concerned about him than jealous or sad or, you know, make it about me. They're purposely having him in this energy and blocking his intuition so that they can get out of a financial thing and also steal from him. So that they can... So while he thinks that he is liberated, able to do what he wants, have these dopamine thrills and sleep around and not have to be committal and... Yeah, like I could, you know, it's celebrated for me to be in this energy. And it's crucified for me to ever even consider somebody that actually loves me. Instead, I'm going to run through the streets and sleep around and do drugs and, you know, be non-committal because that's true freedom. What's actually happening is they know that he's weak. He has a weak will to that because they get him in that vibration. That's the only way that this type of stuff works. Guess what comes out? The High Priestess in the reverse. This could be somebody that is a dark practitioner, which is somebody that dabbles in dark psychology that purposely blocks your intuition, that is a hidden enemy. This could be somebody that is smiling right in front of his face, purposely celebrating and applauding him. Look, see, you're happier this way. You know you couldn't just be with one person. Meanwhile, it's like he's actually having no emotional nurturing still and increasing his sex addiction, probably putting his health in danger because when it gets out of control, you don't really care to think about that stuff. And you delude yourself into believing things like, well, it's mainly women who catch stuff. Like, men don't really, like, these are irresponsible people, y'all. These are people that don't care about their own health. They only care about money, status, and power. So, delusional. So he is, like, if this is my story, he's in danger. And he thinks that there's no risk to that. When he told me that line, because that's something he said to me. Well, I mean, there's a medication for everything, and you only really have to worry about, like, if you're homosexual and you're you can catch things like HIV and stuff like that, but there's not really much you can catch as a man. It's more women that are in danger. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So why aren't you encouraging your ex that is sabotaging your relationship the whole time, that can't just not F you? Why aren't you telling her to protect herself then? Why are you exploiting and encouraging her to be non-committal? Like, because she's like, yo, I'm telling you guys, she's not, she doesn't, when I say she doesn't love herself, and she's sitting there talking shit about how I don't love myself, the audacity. But I would never do the things that she did. And oh my God, like, she tried to tell everybody that I was hateful and horrible, and she played the victim, saying that I was bullying her while bullying me for being a cam girl, when that's not what was happening. She was trying to sabotage my relationship. She didn't respect boundaries, and framing it as me not allowing him to have friends and encouraging a monogamous relationship while trying to destabilize my peace, putting thoughts of doubt in his head to not trust me, and that I was codependent because I had PTSD, and she would study how to trigger the PTSD by putting seeds of doubt in his head. He would bring certain things up, and I would be like, what? Why would you think that? Wouldn't tell me where it was coming from, but I could feel it. And then he'd be silent, and eventually the PTSD would start, the heart rate would start going, and I wouldn't know how to. There wasn't anyone to give me any emotional support because he was terrified, and he was told that, watch, I bet you if you talk to her and you aren't, and you just sit there and you stare at her and you don't regulate her emotions for her, watch, you're gonna see her lose her shit and hyperventilate, and that's not normal. That's codependency. You need to leave. Meanwhile, she had studied the fact that that's below bare minimum. That, like, all I needed was a one-liner. No, I'm just gonna sit here for the next hour. I'm just thinking in my head. I'll be able to talk to you in a bit. Don't be worried. You can breathe. I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, I'm having trouble processing something right now. And I know it's kind of awkward that I'm not saying anything. And it's like he'd been conditioned to regulate. When you're in a relationship, you're supposed to co-regulate and self-regulate. You're supposed to do both. That's a healthy relationship. But she was preaching as if she were an expert. That you're so unhinged. The misfortune that he had to ever meet somebody so insane. You can't even, you have to depend on someone else to regulate your own emotions. What is wrong with you? You're psycho. He should get a PO on you. Like he's so afraid of you that he's thinking of leaving the state. And I'm like, excuse me? She's like, I can't believe, and then, are you okay, Sage? She's like, and then she's like, yeah, oh my God, he's terrified of you. Stop, leave him alone. You are evil. You're a vindictive narcissist. I was called that. I was like, do I know you? Who are you again? Huh? So that's what I am. Oh, okay. She's like, how could you fake a pregnancy? How could you feign illnesses pretending like you're in the hospital dying and stuff, like you can't even regulate your emotions. You're fucking nut job. And I was like, oh my God, you're wicked. You're wicked. But I'm going to keep myself composed because there's no way in hell that a person as rotten as you will ever have any power over me. Once it clicked, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Just wait. Just wait. Because one day I'll be smiling in court and I'm going to watch you stutter. I'm going to watch you stutter as all this evidence is presented. And I'm going to be so calm. There'll be nothing you can do to, like, swap it. Because even if you tried, I'd already know all your tactics. Because I studied for, a good 10,000 hours almost. So I know everything. You're actually pretty predictable once you are well studied. And it's so wicked. It's so wicked. And she made him think that I was naive and stupid and unhinged and, like, delulu. Because I had emotions and I was reacting like anybody innocent would. Anybody innocent that was being attacked. And it's like making him think that what she gave him was caring about his needs. Because she's fine with sexual freedom. What she can't provide is the emotions, but she can't let anyone know that. She has to act as though she can, but that she's a trauma survivor and that she can't handle it because she's been through too much. And I'm like, excuse me? I've been through too much and I still can do it. And I would never attack somebody innocent. So you're a liar. So anytime this poor ex of mine, who also is just like a narcissist too now because he thinks that that's what's normal. But actually, he's literally breeding obsession in his nervous system. So to not have a single conversation, hey, I'm about to leave the house. I don't think this relationship's working for me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to check in and make sure you're okay. Please don't hate me. It's not your fault. Please don't calm down. I'm not going to leave you in this state, confused. I would never do that. That would be enough for me to go off of to, like, be okay even, because I would never force somebody to be with me. But she convinced him that I was forcing him. She would get me so dysregulated that I was literally I would narrate my thoughts and be like, I don't know, I just don't feel safe in this world. I don't know, I can't handle the feelings in my body and I don't feel safe, and I don't know why everybody's not giving me clarity. I'm so clear. I give step-by-step instructions. I'm so stoic. And still I feel very unsafe. And all I need for you to do is just say it's okay or like what's about to happen, and that would make me breathe better again. But like he was told that doing that is feeding my codependency, which my whole life supports the fact that I'm not codependent. In fact, he was upset that I didn't spend enough time with him. So it was all cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, y'all. But he was so dependent on what she was telling him because, like, not only that, but she was pretending to be me. She was studying my kindness because it was the kind that was inside and out. It wasn't a mask. It was real unconditional love. And she wanted everything I was about to have with him, which was marriage, security, because I think, maybe he has an inheritance. We were talking about having a kid, and like things were going well in my career. We were going to open a business, and then all of a sudden, and it's not love, but she had to like figure out why is he so attracted to her? Meanwhile, she's a bugaboo in the background, constantly like tempting him, trying to get him. Well, what? Because she's that kind of girl that gets turned on when he's with somebody else. Because it's a game. If she can get him to leave that person and choose her, that's how she can feel boosted self-esteem for a second. How sad, right? That's really telling on how fucked up. Like, that makes her feel like powerful and chosen and like like important if she can get a person to leave their person and choose her instead. And meanwhile, it's all through manipulation and studying my energy signature. How can I get him to be attracted to me like she is to her? Well, you're going to have to do some cringe shit because you don't have empathy. So how are you going to have the patience to pretend to have empathy? You're not going to be able to hold that mask up forever. She's like, yeah, I won't. So I literally would have these, I'd have these conversations. They were almost telepathic. She's like, and I basically experience what she probably would think in her head. Okay, well, how do I get him to think, though, that, like, I can create the environment of unconditional love and get him to choose me, at least long enough until we're married. Then if I mess up sometimes and I can't hold space all the time, it's okay, because then it's like he can't leave me now. Like, that's the type of shit, you know what I mean? It's like that's the type of shit she was probably on. That's the type of shit she was probably on. So I guarantee if he did fall into the trap, which if he's willing to leave me high and dry out of nowhere and leave all of his items that he's ever owned, his high school yearbooks, his social security card, his passport, his wardrobe, his everything behind, and just never return and be a ghost, right? Because he's that afraid. And also, he's being bribed and, like, you know, told that it's gonna be so fun, you should go to France with me, or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever the bribe was. I'm getting money, I'm gonna do the thing that that your ex-wife was talking about. I already have 50 grand. We can go traveling all over Europe. It'll be fun. Come on. You know that she's bad for you. You need to escape. It's only going to get worse. Like, shit like that. Dude, I'm telling you, the only way to get over this, because I know, honey, I know how much it's going to be really hard to detach, but the only way to detach is to go no contact with narcissists. I'm literally the opposite of it. I couldn't even fake being a narcissist. I'd puke. Literally. It's not in, that's the thing. You know how you know that somebody's evil, y'all? So evil people, evil people can fake being good, but good people cannot fake being evil. They can't. Because they have empathy. They get sick, like, they have physical reactions. They can't bear to see the pain in another person's eyes and know that they're causing that amount of damage to their nervous system. They can't. They get sick. They can't go through with it. The guilt will eat them alive. Like, and that's a normal person. And the only way around that is the loophole of fear, is creating enough fear, an illusion of fear. So it's genius, but once you know all the tactics, it's really not. But it's crazy that that's how their brain works. And they were so confident, dude. They were. But anyway, and so I worry about him because, you know, unfortunately, he's been so fucked up that if he can do all those things to me and be that afraid, like, the amount of trauma, like, I worry about him. I fear for him. That's all I gotta say. And I hope he's okay. Really. For real. I hope he doesn't steal everything he was left by his parents, or steal his entire inheritance and then get him put in a place saying he's unstable and he shouldn't be able to make decisions about money himself. And this is now his wife who can do that. You know what I mean? That's the type of shit I worry about. And it's very real in this energy, yo. You know how I was like, yo, coming from a kind person, I'm telling you right now, that girl is not anything what you think she is. You said that that's the first person who showed you that you could actually be kind in this world. That is your example of kindness. Coming from somebody who is so kind that it puts myself in danger sometimes. I'm letting you know that you're way off base. Okay? And I know how that makes me look in my position. But I can say that, and I have a lot of research to back it up, that if she was kind, she wouldn't be attacking an innocent person like me, who is actually kind. Because even after she did all this stuff to me, I still couldn't do that to her. I could not do it. I would never. Because she doesn't have the tools to handle it. She doesn't. If I did all the stuff that she did to me, y'all, there's no way she'd be able to handle it. She doesn't have. They their mask is what keeps them like false senses stabilized. And anyone who deviates from that, it shakes up their whole world, because there's nothing inside. There's just the mask. Oh no, what am I going to do if it changes? And I was the change. I was the opposite. I came in and I switched everything she ever believed in, and it made sense, and it felt like a threat. It was like all her alarms were probably going off, and she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be found out. Like he's gonna learn that everything I did was like probably like the wrong advice, and that I'm not really kind, and he's gonna pick her and gonna think she's kind, and then they're gonna have an amazing happy life together, and I'm not gonna be able to cope. I can't see that. He can't be happy without me. Oh my god, I can't see it. I can't, I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to survive it. So what does she do? All this shit. Okay. But if I did this to her, oh my god, she wouldn't be able to handle it. She'd actually have a psychotic break. She doesn't have the mental tools, because she doesn't have what they do is they keep sweeping it under the rug, and they oppress and they oppress and they oppress. They do not reflect. They do not feel. They oppress and store it in their nervous system, and so they're constantly living in a dysregulated nervous system, which is a survivor lens. It's never calm and at peace. Therefore, they're never making rational decisions, and they're conditioning their partners to be the same way as them, so that when they make choices that they don't know all the answers to, they get their partner to think that they're the same person and fool them into making the decision for them, because sometimes they don't know what decision to make, but they're making the decision with the belief that they're the same person, so that now they can rely on the person that they've conditioned as a mirror of them to make the decision that they don't know how to make. Do you get what I'm saying? Did I explain that okay? Do you see what I'm saying, y'all? It's so fucked. So, because she actually does panic on making a decision, but she also doesn't want to be judged for being a lazy piece of shit that never ever wants to do the shadow work and face her very, very dark demons. And she wants to create a matrix world where it's not questioned that she's kind or not. She's kind inside and out, and it's everybody else who is faking the kindness. And I was a real threat, because I was actually kind, and I could never treat her like that. The second I heard her laughing, when I was scared, that I was considering, I don't know, maybe I should like stay at the hospital for a few days, because I don't feel safe in this world. I don't think, and I heard her laugh in the background, and the phone went off. That's the moment I knew I was dealing with a demon. Deadass. Because I don't care what anyone says. There is no situation where anyone that's kind. That's how I knew the whole kindness damsel thing, compulsive victim, she's those things. And she's so abusive that she would literally feign an illness for years, praising him that he's such a good partner. I don't know what I would do without you. Meanwhile, she's not even sick, and he's like he's like literally like her slave, and she's getting treated and pampered like a child with leukemia. Do you know what I mean? Do you know how sadistic it is, and how abusive? He's abandoning his needs to take care of her because he loves her and thinking she loves him too, and then vicariously that's what he ended up doing to me. So it's a sick, vicious cycle. But I'm the aware one. I was the only one that was aware. And the only one trying to make a change and seeing the problem here. Even his parents can't see that they're literally choosing somebody bad for their son and supporting the idea of ghosting me. That it's like, okay, your parents, something's wrong with your parents too. Something's wrong with the whole thing. This is all bad. For real. I don't know if you know what? Don't know if I'm equipped for, this would be a big project. No. But it's like, I want to save him so bad, but it's like, how do you get somebody to get woke, swallow that pill that nobody around them loves them and has exploited them, used them, trained them to be their slave while calling it liberation and freedom, got them to trash themselves out, not knowing that there's another world where you don't crave that sex all the time like you do, like it's like a life or death thing, because it's the only intimacy you get is the physical touch, because you've never had anything else, so you've never known what your peaceful nervous system. That's why you probably got bored when you were with me. It probably felt like boring because it was so peaceful, and your nervous system, it was foreign. So, and that's another thing that was probably distorted. Like, she's weird, she doesn't have a social life, like, oh my god, like, seriously, like, she's isolating you, you don't have any friends, look at you. It's like, meanwhile, it's like, he's telling me, I don't want to hang out with anybody else, I just want to hang out with you. So it's almost like I'm being conditioned to be codependent on him, but I refuse to be. And I only was setting boundaries towards toxic people that would threaten our relationship. It wasn't friends in general. I had a bunch of great friends. I was like, how about you make some friends with my friends? They're actually successful. They're not prostitutes, and they're not delusional, and they're not going to try to fuck you. And, you can have some of my friends. You know what I mean? Like, might change your life. Like, and, we can have a very happy life, and I'm going to show you a whole new world in which you'll be like astonished, like, holy shit, I thought this whole time it was actually the Smex addiction that was like I had to have it otherwise, like, because he's the type of person, he can't regulate because he was taught to oppress. So in his mind, he would imagine situations, okay, well, what happens then if we're in a disagreement, and then I can't react because I know that, like, we have differences of opinion and it never goes well. Like, she's probably gonna yell at me and I'm not gonna know how to react. I'm gonna like break something, or like, at least if I know that there's physical touch and that human connection, then I'll be okay. And with freedom and non-commitment, I can do that. But if I'm stuck in a marriage and we start resenting each other, and then I'm trapped with one person, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I can't regulate my emotions. Yeah, honey. Because you're not supposed to oppress. You're disguising peace as emotional avoidance. That's not the same thing. You've been trained and groomed like a fucking puppet. Because that girl there that you think is an angel, a sweet, precious, delicate angel, is a demon, literally, dead ass. All to avoid giving you what you really actually need, which is hugs on her own accord, going up to him and making him feel seen, giving him a safe place to introduce different ideas or creativity, because this is somebody that blocks your creativity. It makes them feel nervous because they didn't think of the idea first, because they don't have an imagination. They live in fear. They can't have an imagination, so they steal creativity. They steal people's ideas. Literally what was happening to me, they broke into my hard drives, tried to steal everything or corrupt it. Literally, like, and I'm like, wait a minute, so you play piano this well, but you never thought to write and sound something out yourself? You only read the composition and just play like robot, like you never thought, I'm going to try to make a melody myself one day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to play these keys that I know sound good here. And I'm going to create my own composition. Or never. For real. That was like a red. I didn't know why, because I had no, like, knowledge behind it yet. But for some reason, my high priestess energy, like, was fixated on that for a second. I was like, what? Because you don't understand, y'all. When I played the piano, he played better than me. Like, he could play Like he would do concert recitals or whatever, and I saw it and I was like, oh my god, you played like that. Have you written anything? Because I was like, wow, that's amazing. I wish I could have that amount of skill, because then I could probably write even better compositions. And then he told me, well, I don't write anything. I just play. I can practice anything, and then it's easy for me. I'm like, okay, but what do you mean you didn't sit there and try to sound out melodies yourself? That's a normal thing to do. Why didn't that happen? It had to have happened and you got stopped or something, because what? And then I realized, after studying, y'all, they put fear in you to not go after your highest potential because they're too afraid to, and they're afraid they're going to get left behind if they don't control you and hold you back and keep you in an infantile state, relying on their reality testing. And they can't do what's best for you, because that might mean that they get left behind and they don't have control. So they disguise it as, we never fight. I'm the partner for you. I'm the one who loves you. But it's so sadistic, like, it's sickening, because that's absolutely not what that is. She's not capable of love, and I actually think she's a lesbian too, and it's like, to the extent that you can be comfortable with a man, that's why you like him. And that's why you have other women take care of the emotional part. But you're lazy and you deactivate anytime he wants to have a real conversation. You aren't involved in creating anything. You get bored. You don't have patience. But you are into addictions and, having dopamine rushes and thrills, and you're lazy and you don't want to do anything. And you're encouraged to engage in bad behavior that's risky, that can end up in, prison time. So you're the one who loves him? Really? The one who prostitutes herself with hundreds of men? The one who, all you can think of in your purpose? And that's fine. I'm not judging, but I tried to encourage her one day, y'all. I said, what do you like to do? I have a feeling you have a hidden thing or something that you might like to do. Maybe you just haven't ever explored or something, because I don't know, maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought that maybe nobody ever encouraged her. That was where I was coming from. But little did I know that one conversation that I tried to have from a nice, kind place, encouraging her to explore purpose beyond her profession that she had settled for. And she was risking her health, y'all. She wasn't responsible with it either. And there were a lot of Jerus involved and stuff. So I was coming from a good place, but she took it personal and has hated me ever since, because it made her feel, and I didn't know that she, I didn't know yet who I was dealing with. I was just trying to be nice, saying, hey, what do you like? You should, maybe go explore things that you like to do. Are you creative or anything? And so she thought I was attacking her. She thought that I was trying to shame her for what she decided to do for work. But I was just trying to get her to imagine more for herself than constantly being exploited by men, because I knew some things about her background that I made me really sad to imagine happening to anyone, let alone a child. And the way to deal with that wound isn't to make a career out of what happened to you as a child by letting other men just use you how they want. No. And shame on my ex for encouraging you to be able to make money. I mean, knowing that you're not really safe because you don't love yourself. If you love yourself, at the very least, and no, it's not because I'm judgmental. As a woman especially, you got to be safe. Because yes, you are more susceptible to catching things. For real. And I was perceived as the judgmental, possessive, controlling one, that I was jealous. I wasn't jealous. In fact, I could handle any kind of conversation as long as it's honest. And I would never force somebody to be with me. Meanwhile, this person plotted for months on how to get it to seem like freedom of choice on how to manipulate this person into being with her, thinking that it was a free choice, while making it seem like I was all the things that she was. Oh my God. I can't, it